What if I told you that the internet once had a beating heart, a sprawling digital city built by millions of hands, a city where creativity, chaos, and human curiosity mingled in ways we rarely see today? This was GeoCities, the birthplace of personal expression on the web, and one of the most important forgotten chapters of internet history. Long before social media platforms ruled our screens, before Facebook, Instagram, or even YouTube existed, the internet was a wild frontier, a place that felt infinite and uncharted. People didn't just consume content, they built it, often from scratch, using simple tools and a lot of imagination. GeoCities launched in 1994, founded by David Bonnet and John Resner. Its revolutionary idea was to organize websites into themed neighborhoods, each representing a different interest or hobby. Imagine a virtual city where sports enthusiasts lived in the Colosseum, science fiction fans gathered in Area 51, and artists displayed their work in the studio. Each neighborhood had its own quirky character and thousands of handcrafted websites. And unlike today's sleek, templated social media profiles, GeoCities was rough around the edges. It was a place where anyone could create, even without technical skills. People built their pages with basic HTML, inserting blinking text, animated GIFs, visitor counters, and MIDI background music, often clashing colors and chaotic layouts. By the late 90s, GeoCities had grown explosively. At its peak, it hosted over 38 million web pages and attracted millions of visitors worldwide, becoming the third most popular site on the internet, just behind giants like Yahoo and MSN. Opening a GeoCities page back then was like stepping inside someone's personal universe. You'd encounter eccentric designs, DIY creativity, and often a wild mixture of content. A shrine to your favorite band next to homemade poetry, conspiracy theories next to a collection of cats in funny hats. Some pages were lovingly maintained, updated regularly with new content and stories. Others proudly displayed the classic under construction sign, blinking and waiting for their creator's next update, sometimes for years. This was the early web in its rawest form, messy, vibrant, and deeply human. People weren't just passive consumers online, they were creators. GeoCities offered them a platform to experiment, to share their passions, and to connect with others. Teenagers learned their first coding skills here. Hobbyists built fan clubs, writers published stories, artists showcased digital art long before platforms like DeviantArt existed. Visitor counters at the bottom of each page were a simple but powerful reminder. Someone out there was paying attention. You are visitor number 23. It didn't matter if it was a handful or thousands. Each visitor was a connection across the digital void. But like all things born in the early internet's Wild West, GeoCities faced challenges. In 1999, Yahoo acquired GeoCities for a staggering $3.6 billion, hoping to turn it into a profitable platform. However, Yahoo failed to grasp what made GeoCities special. They introduced changes, enforced new rules, and their corporate touch slowly eroded the raw creativity that had fueled the site's success. Users started to drift away, seeking newer platforms with fresher designs and features. GeoCities became a ghost town in many respects, with broken links, abandoned pages, and fading memories. Then, in 2009, Yahoo announced a heartbreaking decision. GeoCities would shut down in most countries. Millions of personal websites, digital diaries, and creative projects would vanish overnight. There was no archive plan, no way to export your content. On October 26, 2009, the lights went out on one of the internet's first great communities. Millions of digital homes disappeared, erased with the click of a button. But the story doesn't end there. A passionate group of digital archivists, historians, and everyday internet users refused to let GeoCities fade into oblivion. They raced against time to save whatever they could. The Internet Archive captured tens of millions of pages, preserving snapshots of this vanished world. Projects like GeoCities.ws and GifCities emerged to reconstruct and celebrate the digital art, animations, and spirit of the original neighborhoods. Today, visiting these archives feels like exploring an underwater shipwreck. Frozen pages, half-working links, blinking GIFs, and that unmistakable retro charm float like ghosts through cyberspace. What does GeoCities teach us about the internet? It reminds us that once upon a time, the web was a canvas for individual creativity, not just a platform for brands, ads, and influencers. It was a place where messy, imperfect, but passionate digital self-expression flourished. In today's world, the internet is polished and curated. Algorithms decide what we see. Engagement metrics drive content creation. But back in the 90s, the web was raw, unpredictable, and wildly personal. There were no likes, no followers, no viral trends. Just you, a blinking cursor, and a blank page. GeoCities was a pioneer of the digital maker spirit. It gave millions their first taste of building an online identity, learning technical skills, and sharing their voice with the world. Its demise is a cautionary tale about the fragility of digital culture and the power of corporate control over online communities. But despite its disappearance, GeoCities' legacy endures. Its DNA lives on in today's web culture, in DIY sites, fan communities, and the countless creators who first found their voice in its pixelated neighborhoods. The internet might have changed, but the urge to create and connect remains as strong as ever. And perhaps, in remembering GeoCities, we find a lesson that the web belongs not only to corporations and algorithms, but to every individual who... So next time you scroll through polished feeds and curated stories, remember GeoCities, the digital city that once belonged to all of us. Now let's dive deeper into what made GeoCities so unique and why it still resonates today. One of the most fascinating aspects was its sheer accessibility. Anyone with a dial-up connection and a dream could build a website. It was democratic digital space at its finest. You didn't need to know how to code perfectly. The internet was forgiving, even encouraging of mistakes. This open platform fostered a culture of learning by doing. The internet's first digital pioneers taught themselves HTML tags by trial and error, shared snippets of code in chat rooms, and marveled at the magic of seeing their words and images come alive on the screen. It wasn't just about technical learning either. GeoCities became a haven for niche communities and subcultures that found no place in mainstream media. Whether you were a fan of obscure music genres, a collector of rare comic books, or a believer in paranormal phenomena, GeoCities had a neighborhood for you. These digital enclaves nurtured passion, curiosity, and sometimes wild eccentricity. Looking back, it's easy to romanticize GeoCities. The messy backgrounds, the garish fonts, and blinking animations can seem almost comical today. But those quirks are a testament to the enthusiasm and individuality of its users. GeoCities wasn't just a website hosting service, it was a global social experiment, an early glimpse of what the internet could be when shaped by its users, not corporations. Fast forward to today, and we see echoes of GeoCities everywhere. Platforms like Tumblr, Reddit, and even TikTok owe a debt to the DIY spirit of these early web pages. Creators continue to carve out spaces to express themselves authentically, sometimes chaotic, sometimes polished, but always human. The internet has grown up, becoming more commercialized and controlled. But beneath the surface, the desire to create, connect, and belong remains deeply rooted. GeoCities teaches us that the internet was never meant to be just a tool for consumption. It was meant to be a place of creation. It reminds us to cherish those messy, imperfect moments of genuine self-expression. And maybe, just maybe, it challenges us to rebuild a digital world where everyone can belong, not as users, but as creators. So as you explore the modern web, take a moment to honor GeoCities, because in its pixels, its GIFs, and its blinking text, you'll find the heartbeat of the internet's soul.